happened 7 years ago now. Oh, shit. Where he played a new indie game on stream. His playthrough is kinda whatever, but what really got everyone's attention was a tweet put out by the developer of that game. He complained about the fact that MatPat promoted the stream as a playthrough of an Undertale-inspired game, didn't link the game so it was harder for people to look for if they were interested, and apparently got the name of his studio wrong as well. I mean, I kinda see it. With tags like Undertale 2, the stream felt more like an attempt to ride off the success of Undertale rather than actually allowing the game to succeed on its own merits. What? Toby Fox came in and dropped a pretty reasonable take, and then MatPat apologized. The end. Now, Ty definitely bought oranges. Why did you talk about this 7-year-old microdrama? Well, outside of thinking the whole thing was a little funny, I wanted to talk about how I found out about the only topic of this video, Heartbound. Was it really an Undertale clone? Was it worth the hype? All of these questions will be answered in this 15-minute video. Why aren't we changing scenes? And do you want to give me something to brag on about on my dates I don't go on? If you subscribe, you can help. Join the Discord, follow my socials, fund the boy Failure. Anyway, thanks for listening. Back to the video. Pyro Software is an indie game developer and person. His name is Jason.
My name is Jason.
Who has worked on a couple of indie games you might have heard of, like Champions of Breakfast. Really? Nobody? He's worked in the industry for 20 years.
Been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment.
Oh God! Oh, never mind. Scrolling his LinkedIn for a minute gives off the impression that he is someone who really knows how to make games. Also, he's a hacker/developer, so watch out. He was one of the main people speaking out against the Stop Killing Games movement. He solved piracy and made a successful YouTube channel on the side. His shorts calling Undertale's code bad and various other things catapulted his channel to 2 million subscribers. That's incredible. With everything he's managed to do outside of Heartbound, I'm sure this game will be an absolutely wonderful experience.
6 hours later.
The game sucked. It's very rare that I say anything I have played or watched has no redeeming qualities, but Heartbound might genuinely take the cake for the worst game I have ever played. I'm getting too ahead of myself. I should probably talk about what happens in the game first, so I don't have to explain it later. After finally convincing my accountant that buying Heartbound was a good purchase, I booted the game. Never mind, it doesn't support controller. After figuring out a workaround for that, I booted my game and was greeted with a tiny room and a sleeping dog. A light switch blows up and we find out this green dude is called Law. Are we really going with that one? Okay. Anyhow, the dog wants to get some food. Law's dad yells at them, and then we get a look into their living situation. Beer cans piling up, trash overflowing, and socks in the sink. You can tell there's something wrong here. Law takes out the trash, returns home, and their dog says how great of an adventure he's had today, which is really odd because this was a really short— oh my god, he's gonna die, isn't he? Law heads to bed and wakes up to his room in a state, and his dog missing. You solve some puzzles and fight a fucking Demogorgon. You're then saved by this owl dude and transported to a totally different world. They speak for a bit, and then Law gets sent to the puzzle dimension, and at the end we see Negalaw? Some guy talks to us about being full of hope before, and then Law wakes up in bed and the dog walks into the void. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lost the plot here. You fight the Demogorgon again, and the dog is dead. The dog is fucking dead. You're then taken to another world. The red dimension. The dog's death gets baited and you're transported to an office. You do a bunch of pointless tasks, and now it's boss fight time with whoever this person is. It doesn't happen, and eventually you're transported into the next world with furries. Off the record, I have no issue with furries. I would never discriminate against minority. Law is given a pocket watch, which becomes the main thing they go around trying to fix. Nothing happens for a bit, and Law runs into these gods. You bum around and eventually cheer up this armadillo dude. Law goes on a date with this other lady, you meet this other dude, and then the game ends. No, I'm not kidding, that's it. If my summary of this game felt vapid or like I was exhausted, that's because this game's story is exactly that, and also exactly how I felt finishing all of the available content. Here's the thing though. That summary took me 6 hours. In those 6 hours, I had so many notes that I really had trouble figuring out where I wanted to begin. I feel like I have something to say about every aspect of that game. So I guess the best way to go about this all would be starting with the gameplay and aesthetic. My ADHD is really coming through when I title something like this, but as a game, understimulating describes Heartbound to a T. Artistically speaking, the game looks fine. It doesn't offend my eyes. It certainly is a pixel art game. I guess the space is sometimes empty. The main thing I'm thinking of is inside of Law's house, where all the big hands are only in one corner and not spread out. But this is such a nitpick that I'm questioning whether I even should bring it up. It's in the video that I brought it up. A forest is a hard thing to fuck up, but also pretty boring visually. Once you're brought into the dream world or whatever, everything shits the bed. This looks awful to me. I kind of maybe get the idea that Law is supposed to contrast the characters of this dream world to show how Law doesn't belong, but did we need to go this color of red? Like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of shitpost for game shots like this. Remove Law from this image and put something like Sonic.exe in there instead, and you'll see what I mean. It gets worse as the game continues too, because the blacks are replaced with this gray, and I cannot think of a reason behind this other than trying to convey you're in a different area. Again, no other colors could have been used. To be fair, I'm kind of glad they chose these two instead of something like white at least. Even before you're dragged into an office, I want to say almost every area you're in during this game is pretty samey. The only real standout is that library that one owl dude was in. Also, fuck you, I'm not remembering his name. He literally never appears again. This game is also just a walking simulator. I want to say at least 60% of my time playing this game was just walking back and forth between rooms and clicking random characters to figure things out. And not in the way something like Tears of the Kingdom had me doing, where I was ignoring the story of the game so I could do more builds. Seriously, I still haven't been in that game. Every time I boot it, I get distracted. I was trying my absolute hardest to just finish the game and had no clue what I was doing half the time. I walk into a random cubicle, click around, and then I'm allowed to progress. Cool. This game also loves to give you pointless busy work. Not the, oh, I'm having such a fun time exploring style of busy work, but the, we want to hit the minimum playtime before you can refund the game type of busy work. It's not even related to office work for the most part. It's just people telling you to do random shit. Like someone telling you to find 5 rubber duckies around the office. Someone telling you to run around different cubicles for no reason. And my personal favorite, after Law themselves make a note of how they're just getting ran around, a dude just asks you to get him a coffee. Oh, and if you try and say no, then good luck. My question is, what is the point of any of this? It's not building characters, as the two main people from this world are barely around. It's not going to have much impact in later areas, and the entire time, Law is just fucking confused. A typical discussion between someone in this part of the story is, Law, please do this random thing. Why? Because I told you to, obviously. What's going on? Do the thing. Okay. Repeat for 30 minutes. 5 times, and don't forget to hint at the dog dying again. Sometimes I wanna just like bash my head in a wall. I'm not even trying to say this cannot work for a game, but this is one where they want me to pay attention to things going on. They want me to be immersed in this character's life, but it fails massively with me because these characters aren't interesting enough for me to want to learn more about them. And the game clearly feels the same way, as they are given one trait. The lazy one, the XD random one, the dedicated one, and the kind one. Traits I do not hate in a character when there's more to them. In other games, a person is introduced like this before having those generalizations peeled back. This does not happen in Heartbound. You will see these people do the same thing over and over again, before you disappear and never see them again. It kind of feels like the game really wants the characters to be memorable, but whenever I think back to this part of the game, I remember the part where I had to make a bunch of burgers for some NPCs. Sorry, I just can't get over this. You only get like 3 different options of burgers to make, and I seriously do not understand what this does for the rest of the game. Papa's Burgeria is free, dude. Then there's the second section of the game with the furries, / neutral, by the way. The outfit
Joshua Weissman has become the frontman of culinary YouTube, boasting almost 10 million subscribers. His series have taught millions of viewers how to cook, from something as basic as an egg to as complex as a 100-layer lasagna. So what could have happened to make his dedicated community of hungry viewers turn on him? I was scrolling through Reddit and I saw this post. This is the top post on Josh's subreddit. It's just this picture of Josh's channel where the videos are clickbaity, I-tested viral cooking gadgets, 3-minute versus 3-hour. You can tell that these videos seem closer to like a Mr. Beast type video and less like a cooking show. And obviously, as you can tell from the response, Josh has not always been this way. The comments from his community are like, I miss the old style videos. I just hope that he's happy. Die a hero or live long enough to become a YouTube clown. It's a little harsh. I'm sure he's making bank, but it is a bit sad if you used to be a fan of his recipes. And there's so many more comments like this. But I think to talk about really where the point was where Josh's community turned away from him, we have to go back to the beginning. About 7 years ago, Josh Weissman started his YouTube channel, posting this video called the Slim Palette Paleo Cookbook. It's a video about a cookbook that he created when he seems to be a teenager about cooking under the paleo diet. He talks about his struggles with losing weight, eating healthy, and how he wanted to make that more accessible for people, and this kind of unlocked a love for cooking in him.
Being overweight was a huge hindrance on my life, and eventually I lost over 100 pounds, and I'm healthy, I'm happy. So I started cooking. I started writing down my recipes and all the different dishes I was making. I would keep them written down so that I could revert back to them. And then eventually I lost over 100 pounds. So I started Slim Palette to share not only my recipes, but my story.
After that, Josh tried a lot of different content. Originally, it was just cooking with the recipes on screen, no talking, little music in the background. It was very aesthetic of like 9 years ago. And these videos did pretty well, getting him a few thousand views and starting to build his audience. He then also made a commentary type video on something that he saw online that really bothered him. It was about a company that posted something about real food. It was an anti-preservative kind of post. And in this essay video, he goes through and talks about why he thinks that's a problem.
The fact that that sentence said that because something lasts on the shelf beyond 6 months is not real food. Prosciutto is real food. Those are all things that are made from real food, real ingredients. The coolest thing about prosciutto is most companies that produce prosciutto in a traditional fashion literally just use pork and salt. So you want to talk about real food, how's 2 ingredients sound to you? If you're a huge person in the health community, when you say something, people will believe it, and you have to be really careful. And that type of stuff is not going to fly.
You see in that video that Josh really takes a stand against kind of this gatekeeping of food, this elitist movement in food, this ignorance in food. Talking about how big creators or big people in the health or cooking space need to watch what they say because it can have a real impact on people. They can start boycotting foods. They can start shying away from foods that maybe they shouldn't. And I think it's very telling that Josh in his earlier videos felt very motivated to talk about this. And we'll kind of come back to this a little bit later. Josh then proceeds to start a series called Cooking Isn't That Hard. In this series, he teaches you, the viewer, how to cook very basic things such as, steak, fried chicken, shrimp scampi, things that you've eaten all the time, things that your mom or dad knows how to make and made when you were a kid. It was a series geared towards teaching you how to cook. And I think this is really where Josh started to find his love for both being on camera and for outreaching to people and teaching them how to cook in a new medium. I mean, he talked about having a blog before, he had then moved into a cookbook, and now he had created a YouTube channel to foster and build that community. And you can kind of see from this that these videos, they did pretty okay, and they improved in quality. I mean, the thumbnails got a lot better. Josh became more comfortable in front of the camera. One of his staples is his intro where he opens up a cupboard and you're inside. And it was just this cheeky art kind of intro that really showed that Josh started to develop a vibe for his videos. And Josh continued to kind of ride this wave. There was a real need for cooks on YouTube. There was a real audience for people that wanted to learn how to cook in a nice, accessible way. It only made it better that over this period of time, Josh had already improved his quality. The thumbnails were nice and punchy. The intros were nice and relaxing. He had lo-fi music in the background. It felt like somebody actually sitting down and teaching you how to cook, running you through the basics. We also see that Josh had started 3 new series that did very well, but cheaper, but better, and but quicker. These 3 series were really going to be the hard hitters that were going to skyrocket Josh's career on YouTube. But Better was about how to make different things you'd had at fast food restaurants back home and making them better. But Cheaper was about the same type of thing, except making things that were typically very expensive into cheaper alternatives. Again, the main focus being this accessibility. $14 to make a fancy date night dinner at home. You can see from the thumbnails, it's like Michelin star type plates, but it's really, really cheap. And then finally, But Quicker, which was about how to make things that you typically got delivered or went and picked up for takeout at home, showing that oftentimes it's quicker to cook them as long as you know what you're doing. Again, the focus of all 3 of these series were about accessibility. The focus was on how can we bring food, something that is very daunting to people that don't cook, to the people and show them it's really not that hard. And the community loved this. I mean, he grew from being, less than 1 million viewers to now he's nearing 10 million. But then there started to be a turn in recent months. You can probably tell from the Reddit posts, those thumbnails were very Mr. Beastie. The focus was not necessarily on here's something you can cook, whether it's faster, cheaper, or quicker. It was about, oh, you want to click this video? This is going to be interesting to everybody. I mean, even just looking at his most latest videos at the time of recording, we have, I tried every fast food chicken nugget in America. I tried every fast food French fry in America. I tested viral cooking gadgets. And you can see the videos have less of a focal point on the food and more of a focal point on the fact that, I don't know, it's content and it could be entertaining to anybody. And this, I think, is when we get into the 3 main reasons that Josh Weissman's community has kind of turned on him. I myself am a huge fan of Josh. I found his videos during the pandemic when I didn't even know how to boil noodles. Really, that's a real thing. My girlfriend had to show me how to boil noodles. I thought maybe like the temperature of the water was different depending on what you cook. I don't know. I was really ignorant when it came to food. But Josh's video made it really easy for me to move from not knowing how to boil water into being able to cook the perfect steak. And now I'm at a point where I love cooking. Cooking is a passion of mine, and I would say that from his videos, I've developed a palate now that I can kind of tell what works and what might not. I don't necessarily need a recipe in front of me. If you were to tell me right before I had started watching his videos that that was going to be the point I was at, I would have laughed at you. But his videos made it very easy for somebody with no knowledge to pick it up, not feel scared, and to develop a love for it. So now let's get into the 3 reasons why I think Josh's community has turned on him. Number 1, I like to call this food content versus content with food. His videos went from being less the content is the food to content also there is food here. You can tell from the videos we talked about that, sure, it's about food. He went and tested a bunch of different fast food restaurants, or he tried this really wacky new gadget. But at the end of the day, that is a piece of content that is tailored to just anybody. It's not specific to the culinary genre. It's not about food. His older videos were about giving somebody with no knowledge in the space just enough knowledge to get them through one step at a time until eventually they felt comfortable cooking. And that audience feels kind of confused when you start releasing videos that really have nothing to do with food other than, I guess, it's kind of adjacent. Number 2, I would say, is stepping away from tradition. In some of his older videos, Josh gives some more daunting dishes, maybe from different cultures, maybe they're fine dining and require a little bit of technique, but he gives them the respect that they deserve. Whether it's making sure to do them the way that they were intended while maybe showing you a different way of doing it as well, Josh had a certain respect that I see a lot of chefs have when it comes to tradition, even if they're people that step away from tradition. I've seen that rub a lot of people the wrong way when he's cooking dishes from different cultures, but substitutes one ingredient for another, when in that culture it's really important to kind of use that ingredient. And that I don't think is a huge deal, but I've seen those criticisms. Third, I would say, is the biggest point, and that is just betraying your audience. I see this as the undertone of every single Reddit comment complaint that is from a genuine fan and not just somebody who wants to get mad and spam their keyboard. Josh's channel started with the focus being accessibility in food. The video essay we watched earlier was against this elitism that existed in the culinary space at the time, and that still persists today, but Josh was a champion of fighting back against that. He wasn't going to judge you for using foods that perhaps had preservatives. He wasn't going to make these great big statements about how certain foods are good, others are bad, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. It was about really educating people on what's the best decisions, but making sure that the community itself was inclusive. There are now videos where Josh is teaching you how to make a pizza, and in the instructions, he's like, put the pizza in your pizza oven. What's that? You don't have a pizza oven? Well, you can do it this way, but this is the right way to do a pizza.
First up, fire a pizza oven to about 700 to 750 degrees Fahrenheit. What did you say, Josh? Not everybody has a pizza oven like you asshole. Guess what? You can either do the pan pizza version, which we're gonna do in a second, or you can follow our New York pizza method if you're using a home oven.
And that mocking tone he uses in the videos really has rubbed his community the wrong way. It used to be that Josh was teaching you how to make the fancy things at home with things that you already had, ingredients, tools. That slow transition into somebody that kind of uses the mocking tone with his audience has really rubbed people the wrong way, and I believe has made Josh's content the antithesis of some of his older content. And if you even just go back and watch one of the but better, but cheaper videos when they had started, or the videos that were a little bit older, the videos were very relaxed, a little lo-fi in the background, there wasn't a ton of editing. This made people feel very comfortable. It removed the stress that we often think of when we think of kitchens. I know that's maybe a weird example, but if you go to any of his more recent videos, you get quick jump cuts, huge edits with swoosh noises and sound effects. It feels very in your face. Now that we've talked about the 3 reasons I think his community has turned on him, I do want to make sure to call this out. Similar to how Josh did in his essay, this is not a video about dogging on Josh. Again, I'm a huge fan. If you see his recent videos, I've watched a lot of them, whether it's ones that he has that are similar to some of his older videos or ones that are super clickbaity. I'm a huge fan, and I owe my love of cooking to Josh. This is not a personality hit piece on Josh Weissman. Rather, I want to gear the focus more towards the platform. You have this creator who has built his audience in his niche, the niche being cooking. I know it's not really that niche, but it's kind of niche, And it used to be that they could grow their audience by continuing to make content for that community. That if they continued to just provide quality new content, the platform would push that and their audience would grow. We've seen it a lot recently on YouTube, that Mr. Beastification of a lot of channels. But a lot of YouTube channels have started to make content that is geared more towards like retention, I guess. It's videos that are made to be watched by anybody with the lowest attention span possible. A video doesn't have to be in a specific niche or have a certain quality or be accessible. It really just has to entertain you. So quick jump cuts, funny little edits, talking about fast food, those are things that everybody can relate to, and that is how you grow your audience nowadays. I think the problem with Josh is not that he slowly became this culinary elite that now makes these videos and has become better than his audience. Even though some people may feel that way, I truly believe that this is just the natural progression, this poisoning slowly from the platform that we are seeing in Josh's content. And I think Josh has noticed it as well. In that Reddit screenshot, you see a lot of those Mr. Beast type videos, but lately we've also had things like trying vintage recipes, every way to make instant ramen, the best KFC fried chicken. We've seen him kind of start to try and return to that. I believe that Josh hasn't switched up. He hasn't betrayed anybody. Even I made that kind of point of saying, betrayed your their audience, because that's what this platform has trained me, a very small creator, to do, when in reality, I think the platform has kind of betrayed the best interest of not only the viewer, but the creators themselves. Now, instead of being able to just teach people how to cook and anybody who wants to learn can come and find him, if you just search cooking or food, you'll see videos from these creators that are just, it's not about that, man. It's made to be watched while you're eating and be like, "Muh," just like grunt and move on. It's also not a problem that's exclusive to Josh. Another creator that I like, Binging with Babish, he also started from a place of accessibility, showing people how to make their favorite foods, and now some of his highest performing recent videos are things like trying every different spaghetti sauce.
What?
It's such a sickness
차라리
on the
너무
platform
봐.
that these creators who came from a place
아,
of
without
genuine
우스산
relatability,
CM.
trying to make food accessible to people, have been forced to kind of
저는
slowly
보신 우스스.
transition into this corporate, retention-washed amalgamation of themselves, a total antithesis of what they once stood for. But that's my thoughts on the topic. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this. If you think, you know, maybe I'm being too harsh on Mr. Josh. Josh, if you're watching, I'm very sorry. Please don't hate me. Again, I'm a huge fan. If you like this video and you want to watch another video about Josh, I actually have a friend who made a very similar video. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. I highly recommend it. That being said, I make videos just about whatever the heck I want to talk about as a kind of self-protest to YouTube. But you can tell from the numbers that that hasn't always worked out. So if you like it, please subscribe. Please send it to your friends. I don't know. This got cringe.
Yo, I'm above Coach Ben. Oh my god, Q Cat。蚯蚓还没起床，他好扯哦。他6小时在线上，也就是说他大概，看他昨天是不是没睡啊？我在想他是不是从中午睡到现在，早上睡到现在。虽然我也不遑多让就是了，我是从5点多吧，5点半左右睡到下午2、3点了。我们作息都非常的有趣。Anyways, box target switch. 不遑多让的部分，没错没错。你应该也差不多，那我们的作息都很正常哎。 balls。我 PB 后讲的第一个单字 balls， 然后醉花来看台讲的第一句话 balls。OK， 这是什么 ？Vox Target Switch 2。PB。我觉得这两个 scenario 都蛮酷的，然后快速的 target switch 过去，但好难哦。我这3项都还在 Cerulean， 都打不上 Lavender。啊 ，Dev TS Goated NR， 哦，这 Static， 哎，我居然有 Static target switch 是在 Cerulean 的，看一下48。我觉得这种 scenario 很舒压，你把声音跟画面设对，这种 scenario 超舒压的。仔细看，这蛮像一堆鸽子的，一堆鸽子在朝我这边飞过来。不像吗？我听到蛮多 M Trainer Community 里面的人说这超像鸽子的。等一下，我要找图片来对比。就是你知道，鸟在天上飞的时候，然后它朝着你这个方向飞过来的时候，就是这是它的翅膀，然后这是它的头。如果我这个血条再往下一点的话，会更像。还有它的头有点大啦，除此之外，我觉得蛮像的。 一想象就回不去了。所以我现在是在摧毁一堆鸽子，有没有？一堆鸽子朝我飞过来，然后我把它们全部都打下来。没错，我现在是在狩猎鸽子。我在想 bounce shot。bounce 180 VT bounce shot 这种的，超好笑，一堆鸽子在弹来弹去。好多鸽子在弹来弹去哦。Popcorn MV， 鸽子弹高高。我看一下还有什么啊 ，1W2TS 不会显示出来 ，Flickr Plaza 就不像了。他们不飞，学会了弹跳。没错，在想趴树。趴树 Angelic 20% larger， 鸽子们在平滑的左右移动。靠腰，蚯蚓刚醒。哇，这个头跟翅膀分离了。还有什么 1W5TS 趴树？好，这些鸽子的移动方式非常的诡异。他们在抱团取暖啊。哼。 来看一下还有什么可以打的。待会打一打，应该就差不多吃晚餐了。毕竟蚯蚓醒了，除非他睡回去了。鸽子观察游戏。VT Control Sphere， 哦，这就一个鸽子，我就要一直狩猎这个同一个鸽子，差不多50。你们晚餐要吃什么？我们不知道哎，看蚯蚓醒来之后。哦，好像可以吃意大利面哦。蚯蚓说可以。蚯蚓5点睡，所以他睡的时间点比我晚呢。啊 ，what？ 为什么这么晚起？他直接暴睡12个小时，是不是？6。这么好意大利面，毕竟我都没吃早餐啊，我们省下来的钱应该够直接去吃意大利面了。我靠，那什么曲线图啊 ？What the fuck？2715，然后一路突然间就飙上来，非常有趣。这是2月18号的时候，11月2号、11月2号、11月2号往上飙，然后12月18号跟12月20号又往上飙到90%一次。好啦，我还是有进步的。而且我们要吃我们这附近最好吃的意大利面。我今天决定要给他点一个炸物拼盘套餐，然后明天早一点睡。哎，今天好啦，有点难。我们2个都5点睡，要早点睡是有点困难的。突然让我想到之前看到一个影片，把宝可梦的剧情文本拿去 Google 翻译100次，然后就把梅里羊翻译成意大利面。OK， 你这让我想到，你知道 YouTube 的那个压缩，虽然我不知道为什么会想到这个，但 YouTube 你把影片上传到 YouTube 上，它会压缩。然后就有一个人，他把影片上传到 YouTube 上，然后再下载下来，再上传上去，再下载下来，就这样一直重复，一直重复，直到影片的东西完全都看不到为止。干那个上传到后面看起来像恐怖片。 一堆蓝色、绿色的块状物跑出来。Goated， 我目前没有任何一项 Lavender 的是 Reactive Tracking。Airvoltaic Easy Invincible 4很接近了，打一下好了。反正现在蚯蚓还在半梦半醒。Air Angelic 4 Voltaic Easy， 哇，97%。我是用什么灵敏度来着？45。好。靠，这什么？我之前这个成绩是怎么一回事 ？What? How? 那67.35是什么东西 ？What the fuck? 靠背这样才62%。看一下其他人用什么灵敏度吧。30哦，30也太恶心了吧。32试试看，33。 哎哎。Holy shit！ 我靠，这是我目前最高的成绩耶！哇，不错。但我刚刚想打的好像不是这个，刚刚想打的是什么来着？这个啦 ，Air Voltaic Invincible Easy Invincible 4，应该是这个。6，我还是乖乖的用28吧。 嗯，不太对劲，不太对劲。23cm，33cm。shit， 我还没洗衣服、晒衣服，算了，明天。试试看24。Oh, finally. Yes. 哦，我刚还得确认一下有没有破3774，刚好破了3750。Let's go. OK，今天就先这样，我觉得非常的满足了。今天。